I don't care what Eric Holder says. If he's not offering his resignation, I really don't care to listen to him. But he basically says that he has glanced at it, not read. You know, it's what, about a 16 to 18 pages? Something in that neighborhood, 16, 17. You know, the health care bill was what, 2,500? You can't read a 16-page bill there, Mr. Holder. You know, it is amazing to me, the Democrat talking points. What this is all talking points. They're trying to make the case, once again, that Republicans are racist, and they're going to go grab Pablo and Pedro in the middle of the night and whisk them off out of here. That is such garbage. But when you're liberals and you've pissed off all the honkies in the country, all the whiteys, and you think the blacks are all part of your plantation, then what do you do then to expand the party? An amnesty or backdoor amnesty or somehow is the way they're planning to do this. It's the way that they are going to try to expand the Democratic Party. This is one of the reasons I want the borders. You know, I want a huge fence on the border, because part of the Democrats' agenda, part of their mission going forward, I believe, is to change the country demographically. To get more victims, more welfare recipients, and increase the dependency class till that's 51%. And they don't have to worry. Then the majority of the people in the country have no reason to cut government spending, have no reason to turn off the spigots to growing government. And that's part of their agenda. But, I mean, you know, when you have people testifying in front of Congress about a bill they haven't read, it really is a spectacle unseen, I think, that I can remember. I can't remember so much ignorance in Washington. Even the Clinton years, it wasn't that bad. Now, here is President Obama met with Felipe Calderon, the president of Mexico. This is on May 19th. And then they went out into the little rose garden or whatever to the White House. And then Calderon spoke about Arizona law in addressing a joint session of Congress, where he basically once again lambasted, in my opinion, took shots at the state and took shots at us. But here is the president with a few comments. Now I'm going to break this up into two clips here. Here's the president making comments about the Arizona law. Roll the tape.
I want everyone, American and Mexican, to know my administration is taking a very close look at the Arizona law. We're examining any implications, especially for civil rights, because in the United States of America, no law-abiding person, be they an American citizen, a legal immigrant, or a visitor or tourist from Mexico, should ever be subject to suspicion simply because of what they look like.
All right, Mr. President, you must be with Eric Holder and Janet Napolitano and P.J. Crowley as far as not reading this this supposedly brilliant man has not read this bill. He talks about civil rights being violated based on suspicion. That's not what the law says. It does not say that. It says if you are otherwise, let me give you an example. Say you get pulled over and you cannot produce a driver's license. The police officer then has the authority to question your immigration status. If you're here legally, you probably have a driver's license. So somebody out walking their dog, like I said, if Pablo and Maria are out there going for a stroll, they're not going to be put in potato sacks and dragged away. I mean, that's not what this law says. What the president said right there is, in my opinion, race baiting. It's misleading. It's and he knows better. I mean, the president knows better than this. But again, this is just part of this amnesty agenda, part of this agenda to bring as many people as they can in here to increase the welfare state. I mean, it's ridiculous. And then the president kind of softens his tone here in the next clip, where he talks about the frustration the American people feel, and that the Arizona law is a reflection of that. Now, he's right to a certain extent. The problem is he is wrong with the solution. Roll the tape.
The Arizona law I think, expresses some of the frustrations that the American people have had in not fixing a broken immigration system. And frankly, the failures of the federal government to get this done. I'm sympathetic to those frustrations. I share those frustrations.
Okay, Mr. President. Now again, for the first time ever on this program, you're not 100% wrong. People are frustrated. But they don't want the solution you want, because the solution you want is to make them all citizens eventually. And people do not want that. It says on the books, you can't come to this country. People are tired. Arizona has sat around. I showed these clips a couple of weeks ago. They've sat around. They've heard from Bill Clinton to Janet El Reno to George W. to John McCain to the current administration. The president's made all these promises on immigration. A year and a half, he's done bupkis. And Arizona finally decided they have to take action. They're getting drained, Mr. President. Their school system is getting drained of money. Their welfare system's getting drained, all because you won't get off your dead ass and do your job. And neither will Congress either. They just refuse to secure the border. They won't do it. So what are these states supposed to do, Mr. President? You sit there and you talk about the frustration. I didn't hear a solution right there. What are you going to do to address these people's frustration? You were a senator for 4 years, supposedly. I don't know how much you were there. You've been president for a year and a half. You've done nothing on this issue. So who the hell are you to sit here and talk about and to sit in judgment of Arizona for doing the job you have abdicated, which is to follow our Constitution, which you probably have never even read, probably don't even know exists. Now, to tip off the anger here, Felipe Calderon next gives a little diatribe about his feelings on the Arizona law. Let's listen to President Calderon obloing right here. Roll the tape.
In Mexico, we are and will continue being respectful of the internal policies of the United States and its legitimate right to establish, in accordance to its Constitution, whatever laws it approves. But we will retain our firm rejection to criminalize migration so that people that work and provide things to this nation will be treated as criminals. And we oppose firmly the SB 1070 Arizona law.
Okay, what did he call it right there? What did I hear? Criminalized migration. Now, see, Mr. Calderon, criminalizing migration would be like in the old Soviet Union when you'd go from Lithuania to Latvia without your papers. That's criminalized migration. Funny, we've gone from illegal alien to illegal immigration to undocumented worker. Now it's criminalized migration. You know, and again, like I said earlier, folks, the dirty little secret is this guy just wants our money. And you know, Mexico is one of the richest countries around. They're a very rich nation. But he won't deal with the corruption. He won't change his own government. He won't give, over 40% of the people in Mexico live in dire poverty. President Calderon is doing nothing. President Fox didn't do anything. You don't want to do we've turned Mexico into a welfare state. We've turned them into our protectorate. Why don't you fix the problems in your own country first there, Mr. President, rather than lecturing on us on one state out of 50, the laws that they decide to pass? How about you build a fence on your side of the border? What does it say, President Calderon? What does it say about your country? That people can't wait to get the hell out of there. I mean, what does it say about your country that people have to go somewhere else to find economic opportunity? What does it say about you? You ever look in the mirror, or is it all just your liberal elitist arrogance? Well, President Calderon wasn't done. He then went in front of a session of Congress and said this.
My government does not favor the breaking of the rules. I fully respect the right of any country to enact and enforce its own laws. I strongly disagree with the recently adopted law in Arizona. It is a law
Boy, I'll tell you. And I'll tell you what's pathetic is to watch the Democrats standing there and cheering.